can God really love me? Does he really love me? Can I ever know that he loves me? And this story is to illustrate in a very beautiful way in my mind how much God loves each of us. So the title of this video is, Can God Love Me Even Though I Sin? Does he care about me? As I think about what I'm doing and trying to expose about Joseph Smith, really the fundamental it isn't just that the Book of Mormon can be true. If it is, then God is behind it. God is in this church. God is in the gospel of Christ in this church. And his desire is to touch everyone, no matter how bad or far off or dark or just on a wrong path or wondering. It doesn't matter. He loves us all. That would be my point. It just makes it easier to say, well, Joseph did not write the book. Maybe it is of God. Maybe I can study it, read it, ponder it, see if I can't draw closer to him. That really is what the exercise is. To that end, I'd like to tell you a story. I start with David Tidwell. David was a legend in Nevada in high school. He was a good-sized man. He was 6'2", about 240 pounds. He was a cowboy, wore a hat all the time to the point he was almost bald coming out of high school. Wore a large belt buckle, the belt that was a cowboy belt, or cowboy boots. He became famous because he won the bull riding championship in high school in all of Nevada. Tough guy, strong guy. He graduated, didn't really know what he's going to do, so he went to work in Alamo, Nevada, which is up north of Las Vegas. About 80% of the people there are Mormon. He didn't really know the Mormons. He had an acquaintance here or there, met them, was immersed with them over a summer, and he got to a point where he said, you know, they seem like pretty good people. Maybe I should join. And so in his 19th year, he joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Okay, that's pretty good. What do I do now? He didn't know what he would do. He wasn't going to go to college. That didn't seem like him. He'd work. It was recommended he might think about a mission. He didn't really know about that, but what the heck? Was his attitude, so off he went. He came to my mission, the Alabama-Florida mission, in 1971. And David became a legend in our mission. He was in Montgomery, Alabama with a companion. The companion wasn't full of fire. David wasn't full of fire. They were just kind of there. David really didn't know much about the church, just kind of figuring stuff out. But he had opinions about a lot of things. Most of them were, don't bug me and I won't bug you. So they were downtown talking to someone on the sidewalk. Up pulled a car. Guy jumped out, put David's bike in the back, and they took off. Now, most missionaries will go, well, bummer, what do I do now? David is not a non-decisive person. He was a man who says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get my bike. Started chasing them. Now, this is downtown Montgomery, which is a big city. Lights are there, so the car couldn't go that fast. He went a ways, had to stop, went a ways, had to stop. David kept running in his cowboy boots, cowboy buckle, cowboy hat. I don't know if he had a hat or not at that point in time, but he liked cowboy hats. He got close to the car. Somewhere along the way, he found a brick. He threw the brick right through the back window of the car. Surprisingly, or not, it stopped. David ran up, opened the driver's seat, pulled the guy out and punched him right in the chops. Opened the back seat, got his bike, and he rode off. He was an instant celebrity in our mission. Everybody knew about David Tidwell. Shortly after that time, he was sent to my area. I was going to be his boss. I'd heard about him. I didn't know what to think. Here he came. And so we met. Hi, Elder Tidwell. I'm Elder Patterson. How are you doing? I said, feel this. made a muscle, big muscle. I could see it was a big muscle. I felt it. It was very impressive, very impressive. No. Underneath. Pinch the skin underneath. That's right there. Pinch the skin. There was no skin to pinch. And he said, I'll tell you what. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Wow, what a way to meet this new elder in my district. So we had a tentative relationship. We did a lot of things together. There were 6 elders in my district. We were in the little small towns in southern Georgia. Did what we could do, tried to do well. We decided we would make an appearance at the county fair and have a booth said, here's what Mormons are like, and have pictures of Mormons, because back in the early 70s, lots and lots of people didn't have a really great opinion of Mormons. I was asked more than once on my mission, well, where are your horns? I can't see them. Because they'd been told that by their minister or wherever they might have heard it. We had a good time. We exposed ourselves to the members of the county. Actually, we'd have a baptism that came out of it. During that time, or the time got by and we're done, so we're hauling our things out to our car to go. And I'm carrying a box of things out. It's nighttime. The county fair is lit up like a light. I mean, just beautiful. It's all lights everywhere. But you get out into the parking lot, it's gravel, and there is no light. So it's very dim. So I walk out. Over on this side, I see 15 or so boys my age, laughing, drinking, having a good time. They see me. They think, well, maybe there's a person we can have a good time with. And so they yell a few little things at me, toss a couple stones at me, start walking towards me, and I'm thinking, well, I think they're drunk. I think I could run faster than them, I think. And at that time, I turned around towards the county fair. David was coming out. He had things in his hands. He saw what was going on immediately, knew what was going on. He dropped the things. He did something I've never seen anyone do before in their life. He reached for his belt buckle, of all things, unbuckled it, pulled it out, wrapped the belt or the leather part around his wrist with a flap, the big belt buckle flapping. That's how cowboys fight. I didn't know that. He walked immediately towards them. He didn't wait. And he called them out. That's my friend over there. You want to mess with him? You're going to mess with me first. And amazingly, all 15 just kind of faded away because David was a presence, stunning presence, very impressive. So David and I kind of got over a hump. We learned to love each other, care about each other. He became a very good missionary over time, very impressive from where his humble beginnings started. So we went home. I saw him once after that, and then really never again. And years went by, decades went by, almost 25 years. Didn't even think about him much at that point in time. On January 1st of 1999, I heard a voice in my head, a clear voice. It said, "Find David Tidwell." I hadn't thought of Tidwell in forever. I don't even really know where to find him. I didn't know what to do. The next day, the voice said the same, and the same every day. Find David Tidwell. So I looked in the yellow page. I thought he was down in Nevada somewhere, maybe Las Vegas. So I looked in the white pages, not yellow pages. Nope, no David Tidwell. I asked other elders out there, you seen him? Anyone? But no one has seen him. How am I going to find David? So let's stop there. Let's go to another experience that'll relate to this. About 5 years before that, I was down in St. George, and I heard that one of my old companions lived there. His name was Lynn. Now, Lynn was in the U.S. Navy. He had a couple of friends who were Mormons. They preached the gospel to him. He joined the church. He was 26 years old. And back in the 70s, you couldn't go on a mission after 26. Don't know what it is today, but then this is kind of the cutoff. He either had to go or he didn't. But he didn't know anything about the church, kind of like David Tidwell. I think I'll try it out. And so he came. I just had been made a senior companion, and Lynn was my first trainee. And I really didn't know what to do. No one really trained me. I was going to just go track. We'll do the things we know to do. After a short time, Lynn says, this really isn't for me. I'm over my head. I don't enjoy it. I'm too shy. I think I'll go home. And I really didn't know what to do. It was over my head. So I called our mission president, said, here's the situation. He called Lynn in and graciously, over time, found things for Lynn to do outside maybe the normal tracking of an elder, where he could stay on his mission through the whole thing. He went home. I never saw him again. Didn't think about him much again, honestly. So, looking for David Tidwell. On Easter Sunday, so I'd heard the voice January 1st. Every day I heard the voice, find David Tidwell. Was that clear? It wasn't I'm not sure what you're asking me to do, Father. Find David Tidwell. So we're walking out of our home to go to church. Phone rings. Back then we had those on the wall. No cell phones back then. And I'll get it, honey. You get ready. I'll go back in. Picked up the phone. Heard a gruff voice say, hey, I bet you can't guess who this is. I knew who it was. It was David Tidwell. I've been looking for him for now 3 months. David, I've been looking for you. Where are you? And what had happened was David and Lynn had got together. They were friends. Now, when I was down in St. George, I knocked on Lynn's door. I said, Lynn, it's Elder Patterson. How are you doing? The door was open slightly. Fine. Can I come in? No, bad time. Listen, and I wrote down on a little piece of paper my phone number. I gave it to him. Call me anytime. I'd love to see you. Love to talk to you. Okie doke. Shut the door. So Lynn and David, who were friends, were down in Las Vegas. And Lynn said, hey, David, you want to call Elder Patterson? David goes, well, what do you mean? And for 5 years, he'd held my phone number in his wallet, still there. Out he pulled it. Well, here's his phone number. Give him a call. That's what led up to the call from David Tidwell on Easter Sunday in 1999. Now, let me give you a backstory to both these brothers. David came home. He got married in the temple. That's what you're supposed to do. And he's kind of, okay, I want to do it. They got pregnant. They lost their child. And for a number of circumstantial reasons, his wife said, I have to leave you. I'm going. She left. It really tore David up. I don't know what to even do, he says, thinking. So shortly after, he got married again, now to a non-member. They had a child. And the child was growing. Things are okay. He's making money for him. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Came home one day and a note on the kitchen table said, I'm leaving you. Never try to find us. At that moment in time for him, he decided, you know what? God hates me. I really don't know what to do. He's in his 20s. He's working construction down in Las Vegas. And David slides into the darkness of the world. Every sin available, he tried out. So, knowing that, he became darker and darker, further and further away from Christ. He didn't read the scriptures, he didn't pray, he gambled a lot. He did drugs, he did alcohol, he did lots of other things. He was becoming darker and darker because of his choices and lifestyle. Now, he met Lynn again along the same kind of lines. Lynn came home from his mission. He got married in the temple. And there was problems. And he was excommunicated from the church. He felt like unfairly. And he had rancor in him. And he was upset. And he slid away from the church, but not just slid away. He found critics and antis who he seemed to be embraced by, and he liked them. He was mad at the church. They were mad at the church, and so he spent time with them. He let his hair grow. Beard long, hair long. Big guy also, like David Tidwell. He's probably 6'3"-ish. 280 pounds. Both the big boys. Both in a dark place, getting worse. They found each other in all of that, talking together. Let's call Patterson. So I said, hey, David, let's meet in Mesquite. I'm up in Utah County. You're in Las Vegas. We'll meet in the middle. Let's just meet and see how things go. I'd love to see you again. Okie doke. So my wife and I drive down to Mesquite. We pull into an agreed place, so I don't remember where it was at. The car pulls up, 3 people are in it. First is David. Gets out, I recognize him. He's a big dude still, strong, vital, not afraid of much of anything. Lynn gets out, I don't recognize him because of his long hair. And a woman gets out. Let me tell you about the woman first because she's germane to my story. David, after his 2 divorces, said, I'm never going to get married again. I don't want to do that. That was not happy for me. And so he didn't. I don't know if he dated or not, but there was just no relationship with a woman from that time on. And now we're in 1999. The last wife was like in the late 70s. So almost 20 years have gone by. David is immersed in the world. When he got out of the car, I knew he was. I could feel what he was. I knew he was a decent human in there somewhere. I just couldn't see it at the moment. So he said, this is Sandy. Didn't say wife, didn't say girlfriend, just this is Sandy. And later I found out how they met. David would go to 7-Eleven every morning and buy certain things to drink and eat on the job. And he saw a woman there who was a cashier, and he kind of liked her. But David at this point in time was very shy around women. And so he'd go in, walk around, look at her, buy some stuff, smile at her, and leave. One day, the men in his truck going to work said, we're not leaving till you go in and ask her out. Well, he did. I don't know how to do that. And now he's in his 40s, 50s, late 40s probably. We're not leaving. Go ahead. So in he goes. Walks up to her, looks her in the face, says, do you eat? That was the line. Do you eat? And unbeknownst to him, she knew he came in every day. She liked the look of him. She saw him, big, strong, strapping guy, cowboy, hat, belt buckled, boots. Well, yeah, I do. And so they dated a couple of times. She moved in with him. So I'm meeting Sandy along with these 2 brothers. Quite a group. We had a conversation. It wasn't terribly deep, wasn't terribly interesting. It was okay. I said, David, would you come up to our home for Thanksgiving? Just be with us, be with our family. Yep, I'll do that. And, okay, great. So they left, we left. Thanksgiving's coming. And here comes David and Sandy. Now, at the time I met them, they were not married. David told me later, I'm not bringing my girlfriend to stay at your house. So they got married. Awesome. Great. So they come. We talk. We get to know them. We take them to church on Sunday. He hadn't been to church in 20 plus years. She'd never been to a Mormon church. He was a lapsed Catholic. A very nice person. So they come home. We all come home. I have a returned missionary sister who's just been home for a couple of weeks, gave the first discussion to them. Mostly Sandy, but them. They hear it. Sandy goes, well, I think when I go home, I'd like to know more about this church. I like what I'm feeling. I like what I'm seeing. Now, David, think of him. He's thinking in his mind, I have done everything I could think of that's against the church's rules. If I go back, they're going to kick me out faster than I'll get out. So he says, as a true man, if you're a man, you'll appreciate this. If you're a woman, you probably won't appreciate it. Hey, that's a good idea. Someday we ought to do that. Just put it off. Sandy said, you know what? I don't care what you do, David. I'm going to meet the missionaries. David didn't say much of anything at that point in time. That was Thanksgiving. At Christmas, he calls. Hey, Sandy's getting baptized. You want to come down and baptize her? Ooh, I would love to do that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And so down we go in January. Into the reciting room. On one side of the room is David's old friends. Oh, they're a bunch of tough customers. On the other side is the folks of the ward. Definitely two different kinds of people. Sandy's baptized. She becomes beautiful. She embraces the gospel of Jesus Christ. David goes to his bishop and works out whatever he had to work out, so he now is active. They become pillars of this particular ward because they live in nothing, a small hovel. So David has worked for 20 years. He has no money because he spent it on gambling and the vices of the world. So that's where they started. Life happens. He's blessed. He's a good man. He's trying to do good, trying to do better. They finally can buy a house. The house has a pool. He never thought he would have that in his whole life. He's feeling, oh, very good, great. And then the crash of 2008 came when Las Vegas closed down all construction. Lost his job, lost his house. Just going, what the heck am I going to do? Now, this story, believe it or not, is not about David Tidwell. This story is about Lynn. And here's my point to all this, and then I'll wrap this thing up. Lynn is a beautiful man, surrounded by the angst of the world, the pains of the world, the sorrows of the world, the darkness of the world. He was lost, so lost. Still with his group of people in St. George who were anti-critics, who consciously attacked the church. He was part of that because he was still bitter from all things he had gone through. But this story is about him. And here's my point, then I'll move into the rest of the story, the conclusion of the story. Think of all the people out there in our beautiful religion who are in pain, who have done things wrong, who are upset, who have physical ailments, who don't have enough money, or whatever it might be. And their question is, didn't forget about them. Said, okay, Edwin, I need you to kind of get it together here and go help. And Lynn and I didn't have anything in common. We just really never clicked. But Lynn fell in love with David's wife, Sandy. Not in any sexual way, just here was a woman who he honored, who he would do anything for, protect, anything. He loved her in that manner. And he saw them. She joined the church. He was at the baptism. Watched them grow. Watched them go through problems. Watched them grow. Eventually, David and Sandy, who loved Lynn, kept trying. Come to our home. Be with us. Go to church with us. You can come back. No. Years and years and years went by. Until Lynn finally said, I found the thing that I'm actually interested in. It was genealogy, family history. And that and Sandy brought him back to the gospel of Jesus Christ. He met with a bishop. They had to sort out things, and they did. Today, Lynn is active. He has to drive about 45 minutes to church. He lives out in the sticks. But he goes. He comes home. He works on genealogy. He's an old man. He's over 75 years old now. But now he's full of love. He knows God is real. He knows Christ loved him and has saved him. Very sweet. I tell this story because I know there are so many who just don't know that. Is that really possible? Can it really happen? And think of the trail or the path that had to be followed to find David. Through Lynn, of all people. The path that David had to go on to become beautiful. And David is today. He lives in Buffalo, New York. He's on the High Council there. He went into the state prison when he was going to be called as a High Counselor. And they sat down, and David, first thing he said was, hey, if you're calling me to give no opinions, don't call me at all. I have opinions on almost everything. I'm going to give them to you. So if you don't want it, I just want you to know up front. They called him. He does have opinions, but they're beautiful. He cares so much. He and Sandy are doing wonderfully in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Lynn is doing wonderfully in the gospel of Jesus Christ. But you see, here's two men that God didn't forget. It didn't just go away. They were there, loved by God in the deepest, darkest parts of their lives. And a way was found to bring them both back to Him. So if you got kids, you got family, you got issues, you got yourself, who knows what's going on, but lots of life goes on in all of our lives. Ultimately, and I mean ultimately, God and Christ never forget. And whether it's today or tomorrow or next year or down the road a decade or so, maybe in the other life, I don't know. They will all find out God loves them. Christ loves them. And the path back is not that hard. Full of beauty, full of relationship, full of happiness amidst the problems of life. That's my thought. If you know someone who would benefit by that story, share it. Because I'll tell you, in my experience, almost everybody's got issues. And those who don't, probably lying. But God is there and Christ is there for us all. He forgets none of us and desires to save all of us. Well, all right. Thanks so much for listening so long. I appreciate it. See you on down the road.